Hello there, everybody. Thank you once again. We are live. Thank you for stopping by yet another edition of the Massachusetts Whiskey Reviews. I am Thomas Metal 75, and this is going to be your Massachusetts Whiskey review for the day, for the channel. This is a product I picked up yesterday at the Pops Liquors in Easton, Massachusetts, and I heard the Bourbon Bounty. Go check out Bourbon Bounty on the YouTubes. Bourbon, B-U-R-B-O-N, Bounty. Go check out the Bourbon Bounty on YouTube. He was talking about this recently and saw it at the liquor store and said, hey, why not? So this is a bourbon whiskey called the George Remus, king of the bootleggers. This is a straight bourbon whiskey at 94 proof or 47% alcohol by volume. This is a product of the Mgp distillery. They say distilled by G. Remus Distilling Company, but that is Mgp out of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, which actually stands for Midwest Grain Products Distillery. And they do mostly the Mgp distillery. They provide whiskeys that other brands can source, other distilleries can source. So say you just opened a distillery, you can get Mgp sourced whiskey and you can age it and get it and do what you need to it before your product is ready to go. And some brands just do it that way. However, and that's all they do. However, this is the first flagship of the Mgp distillery, so that's pretty cool. And George Remus, he was a bootlegger during the I forget when, but it was during the Prohibition era. He was a bootlegger. Did his bootlegging operations out of Cincinnati, Ohio. In Cincinnati, Ohio, there was another distillery that had a George Remus name on it. Lawrenceburg, Indiana is 20 minutes away from Cincinnati. They bought that brand name and they made the George Remus. So pretty cool stuff. Non-chill filtered. You're not getting rid of any fatty acids or the oils from the whiskey. You're not stripping any flavors, which is nice. And this is supposed to be like a high rye bourbon, which, if we know bourbon, it's legally got to be 51% corn. A high rye still has to have that 51% corn, but it's got a high concentration of rye. And at Mgp, they say on their website that their bourbons will have a 36% rye content for one of their higher rye content. They say 60% corn, 36% rye, and a 4% malt, barley malt. But they don't actually tell you that on even the George Remus website. What is the mash bill? See here, from apothecary to kingpin, George Remus created one of the most intricate, successful bootlegging operations of Prohibition. George Remus bourbon captures the rebellious spirit of that era with a hint of vanilla and a maple aroma and a sweet yet characteristic rye flavor, perfect for the speakeasy or liquor cabinet. All right. I have some poured out already in the Glencairn glass. It's been poured out for, I guess, the 4 minutes here we've been on the stream so far. So let's take a look at that color. It's a nice amber caramel kind of look to it. And there definitely, you can see, there definitely are some legs that are forming. That's nice to see. Very good stuff. Let's get a nose and a tasting neat. So let's do the nose first. No water added. High rye, sure. Getting the spicy black peppery notes in there. I've watched a couple of videos doing of people reviewing the George Remus. I think I heard maybe one individual somewhere say that they were getting a cherry out of it, and I'm getting a cherry out of this. I'm getting cherry. I'm getting vanillas. The back of the label says mapley aromas, and I can totally understand that one. Caramel, vanillas, maple. I'm getting cola whiskey flavors or notes out of the nose. Cherry cola notes. Rye barrel spice. Very awesome. Legendary in Ohio for bootlegging. Totally. And this came out in 2017. The George Remus. So let's smells really good. Oh, I got too much of a hint of alcohol on that one. Let's try it. Neat. Cheers, everybody. The George Remus straight bourbon whiskey. Ooh. You know, sip. That was good. It's a little warm. It's a little warm, but that's all right. Yeah, there's definitely a high rye concentration. Totally getting that spice, black peppery kind of a spice. I still get a cola and a cherry note to it. That cherry cola note is definitely in there. There's definitely vanilla and some caramel. A lot of vanilla. Yeah, a lot of vanilla and mapley notes intermingle together really nicely. There's a little bit of a burnt, or not a burnt, but it's a little bit of a cooked sugar. Not super sugar forward, but I'm getting a little bit of that next in the flavor profile. Yeah, maybe a little bit of raisin and plum in the nose too, and on the flavor. Water is coming next. It's fairly oily for what it is. It's got a little bit of tannins, some dark cherries, definitely the dark cola cherries, like a Luxardo I've heard people mention, like really concentrated cherry flavor is what I'm getting at there. For me, at least, it's not like cherry candy, but it's got those cherry cola notes, and the pepper as it's fading in the finish. But it's a medium finish. It's not a short finish, and I do like that it's not chill filtered, so as to preserve all these fatty acids and the oils that have flavor compounds in there. So nice. Straight bourbon whiskey, meaning it's 4 years old, unless they mention it on the label otherwise. So minimal age for a straight bourbon, but so far so good. Here's a little bit of water. I'm going to put 2 straws of water in there, as Ronald Sutton would say. Cut it with a little water and an ice cube. I'm just going to use water. Cheers to Jules. All right, 2 straws of some water. Here we go. 1. 2 is a great place for me to start. If I need more, I add more, but usually don't need it too much more. And you probably won't see it here, but you'll see the oils. You no way to see that there. But when you put water into whiskey, a lot of the time you'll see the oils kind of separate. And the whiskey gets a little bit more cloudier. I don't know if it actually got any more cloudy, but there's a beautiful color. Not too dark. All right. So 2 drops of water. It's a little swirly action. Let's see what the bourbon whiskey has done with the water addition. To the nose with water of George Remus. Ooh, even more maple syrupy. More maple syrupy, more of a sweet, cooked sugary caramel. Black pepper spice still underneath everything, but the sweet notes have come out. Even a chocolate note has come out at this point. It's probably a milk chocolate. Yeah. Cinnamon baking spices too. Much more of a classic American straight bourbon whiskey note has come out in the nose. Let's try it, everybody. Cheers to George Remus straight bourbon whiskey with some water. Finish is a little subdued at that point, and the proof going down is made this pretty smooth for what it is. Pretty smooth. I know bourbon people and whiskey people don't like smooth. Even less of a burn going down the throat. So yeah, more sweet notes reminding me of a breakfast. Excuse me, more sweet notes reminding me of a breakfast style syrup. More caramel, burnt, or I keep saying burnt, cooked sugary caramel notes, and it's not super sugary. It's got that note initially. I'm still getting cola. I'm still getting cherry. I felt like that note was way more pronounced when neat, when George Remus straight bourbon whiskey was a neat pour. But yeah, I'm getting the cherries still in there, and the spice underneath. And I'm sort of getting more of it's shorter finish. There's still a finish there. There's still a little bit of oils when you have it with some water, but I would say I get like a semi dry? I'm getting that mapley caramel cooked sugar kind of a feel as it dries and as the alcohol kind of evaporates on the palate. But once again, I'm not very good at giving numbers and rating systems yet to bourbon whiskeys. But I gotta say, for what I'm tasting here, this was a MSRP of $40, and I bought it from the shelf before tax at $39.99. $39.99 US dollars. And I am completely satisfied with said purchase, and I'm completely satisfied with the fact that I'm getting more and more into bourbon, which is great. So, what was the last bourbon I did? Oh, the Campfire. That's a little. The Campfire by High West was a little more complex. There was a little more complexity to that, but I kind of like the straightforwardness of this bourbon. I might like this better. Oh boy. And this is cheaper. So yeah, this is cool. This is high rye with mapley cherry cola caramel and black pepper spice to it. They'll make a really good old fashioned, I bet. 93. I'm quite happy. There's value to this bottle. There's value to the flavor, and there's value to its price point. And the Bourbon Bounty said to have this will be a good cigar bourbon. He said to me to have this try it with an Oliva, an Oliva Series G, or Series O, should I say. And I will have to try that over the spring when it gets a little bit warmer and buy another bottle if this is gone. Sure, why not? Your hard liquor reviewing skills have come a long way. And I feel like my palate being able to pick up the bourbon or just notes of whiskey has come a long way too. So thank you, James. And yes, look at the lacing or legs. Non-chill filtered, people. 93, I'm quite satisfied. Till next time, keep sipping those great whiskeys. Cheers. We'll see you all soon. A little bit of cooked sugar.